to have you with us. We are live this Monday evening on the Pure West Radio Facebook page, on the app, on your smart speakers and on the website. And on the agenda tonight, we will reflect on a cracking weekend of Pembrokeshire sport where rugby took centre stage. KT's with us to talk about another win for Narberth, and Fraser will fill us in on an emotional afternoon in St David's as they beat Pembroke to claim the Willington Slate Trophy on a day where Gareth and Daniel Willington were fondly remembered and money was raised for the RNLI. We'll also look ahead to match day 3 of the Six Nations, with Wales the later side to take on the Irish juggernaut, and a Calcutta Cup match between England and Scotland ahead as well. Our guest tonight will be Pembrokeshire sharpshooter Ben Llewellyn. It's an Olympic year, of course, and we'll find out how his aspirations to be part of Team GB are going. We've got cricket to come as well, with Neyland still on course for another visit to Lords, and we'll reflect on the third test where Bazball went slightly wrong. So let's get cracking, shall we? Fraser and Tom are in the studio in Haverfordwest. Fraser, evening to you. How are you?
Very good, Ben. Just about thawed out from the weekend. So we've got a dry day down this way today, but I think the rain's coming in again tomorrow. So brace ourselves.
Well, you say it was dry. I don't think it was dry where KT was. It was wet, wasn't it, KT, at Llangennec, where you were watching the Narberth game?
Just slightly damp, yes. I mean, I think the flood levels raised by about 3 inches during the afternoon. It was quite something, and they played the match to the end, and good on them.
Yeah, absolutely right. And we heard a really good interview in the first hour with the Narberth head coach Liam Gadd talking to KT, as he often does, straight after the game. And we're going to get some insight from KT about why Liam Gadd has led Narberth on this phenomenal run, 15 consecutive wins now, and a really good game at the weekend. So that's to come in a few moments. Tom, good evening to you. How are you?
Good evening, very well, thank you. Good to be back.
Excellent, nice to have you back with us as well. But I tell you what, let's start. And rugby is going to dominate part 1 of the show, quite rightly, because Fraser, it was rugby that took centre stage, wasn't it? This weekend, I think only 5 football matches were completed, and it was a good reminder that we've got some great rugby going on across Pembrokeshire, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I was lucky enough to actually to be in St David's on Saturday, which the darn sight more enjoyable than what I attended the Liberty Swansea.com stadium 4 days earlier. Swansea Leeds, I can tell you that for nothing. But no, a lot's been made of it. It's made national news, hasn't it? An emotional tribute in the Willington Slate Trophy. Obviously, a tribute to Gareth and Dan Willington, who tragically lost their lives at sea 8 years ago. And John and Daryl, I know we heard from them in the first hour, both on hand to watch it, and fair play today. They spoke after the game, both conducted themselves superbly, and a huge crowd from Pembroke as well. And you were worried that actually the atrocious weather might spoil the occasion or spoil the game, so to speak, and it didn't. I have to say that, I backed St David's to win the week before. I said that, but I thought they'd win comfortably. And to be fair to Pembroke, they looked down and out on several times, and they kept coming back, and it ended up St David's had the 5-point lead in the Willington Slate Trophy from the first league game, and they ended up winning on Saturday 31-24. But it was another enthralling game. I know it was on St David's was on the wrong end of it the week before at Haverfordwest, but the right end of it this week. But Pembroke got hold of their scrum towards the end and were close to a draw. So I have to say, there's been so much scepticism around local rugby, especially at the lower level. I've watched the last 2 weeks and I've been really heartened. I really have.
Yeah, that was excellent. And just for people who don't know, as Fraser said, Gareth and Daniel Willington died when their boat, the Harvester, sank off St David's Head. And there was money raised for the RNLI, and crews from St David's and Angle actually met at Martinshaven, didn't they, throw a rugby ball to honour the men. And that rugby ball, then the match ball, was delivered ahead of kickoff. So it must have been a really poignant mood at St David's on Saturday, Fraser.
Oh, hugely so. And then it was William Chant, actually, from St David's RNLI, who presented the match ball to Daryl, who handed it to the referee before. You're right, there was a lot of emotion flying around. And for the RNLI crews to carry out that in those conditions as well, it was no joke. I had to chuckle at one point when we heard that the lifeboat crew that left Angle had to literally pass it from boat to boat when they met at Martinshaven, the St David's crew, and thank goodness they didn't drop it, because if that had got in the sea Saturday, there was no rescuing that by kickoff, I tell you that. And then actually when it came to St Justinian's and St David's, it was gathered by the mini and junior section, actually ran through the city up the cathedral steps with the ball and delivered it. So you're right, Ben, a real poignant occasion. And look, I will say this as well, I was very critical of Pembroke, and I don't back down from that now, their decision to go down from Division 1 to Division 3. They obviously skipped down 2 leagues, and I thought that was a little little bit of a cop-out. Then actually the reverse effect to what a lot of us feared. We feared they might then storm Division 3. In fact, a lot of their players went back to Tenby or joined elsewhere. And actually for them, I'm a lot more heartened having them watch Saturday. I thought that was a team very much on the brink and going downhill. It's not. They've accepted where they are. The decision's been made. They're building a younger side again now. They've got people coming through, and there's an acceptance there that it's time to rebuild. So credit to them for that. They've still got a few old timers knocking around. Don't let me wrong. Robin Badham and Scott Powell scoring tries then. But overall, it took a lot of heart from seeing Pembroke, a lot of heart from the game, and most of all, a lot of heart from the occasion. You used the right word there, Ben. Poignant.
Excellent, and well done to everyone involved with both clubs for that, and it's received some nice coverage as well, national coverage, which is great to see. So well done, and everyone from the RNLI who put that on. Let's turn our attention to Narberth, whose recent form has just been absolutely sensational. Fraser, can I just check, as a former Whitland player, are you okay with this?
No, but you let KT talk, and I'll just check Everton Crystal Palace for a minute.
but there we go. I just had to clarify that. But KT, that was another. It was a nail biter, wasn't it, at Llangenec for Narberth? But the Otters got over the line, didn't they?
Well, coming off a win against the other high flyers, Brecon, a couple of weeks ago, that was a very similar match. Narberth can't seem to start the first half in any sort of good form. I mean, it was 12-3 at half-time, and luckily, it was lucky for Narberth because they could have been 3 or 4 more tries from the Llangenec side. 12-3 down at half-time. We got a penalty, 12-6. Then they got what I thought was a vital penalty for them, 15-6. 20 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go, still 15-6, right? It's pouring down with rain. The lads could have had their heads down. But the Narberth side these days don't do that. And we can talk about Liam Gadd's coaching in a little minute if you don't mind, because that's the secret. That's how Narberth now have rallied themselves psychologically to win these matches where in previous seasons they would have lost. They lost to Bargoed and Cross Keys with last-minute tries last year. Great side to lose against, but they should have won those matches. This side is winning the matches, and that's what Liam Gadd is all about, really. Anyway, I'll just finish the story. 15-6 down, 15 minutes to go. He brings on Alex Williams, the little nippy scrum half, moves Lewis Gibby, the scrum half, to the wing. They get the ball out wide. Gibby scores a great try. And if you can look at the Facebook page of the Narberth Otters, you can see the still photographs and you see how he got to the line, and he just made it. So all of a sudden it's 15-11. The try's not converted, so they're 4 minutes behind. There's no clock on the stadium at all, or the ground. So we don't know how many minutes there is left. It's about 4:10 in the afternoon. We're thinking, this is it, surely. It's 15-11, right? And then Gibby gets another chance. And he's down the wing to score another one. He just gets held up this time and loses the ball forward in the tackle. So we're now really thinking, that is it. That surely is it. No, next play, we get the ball. Jonathan Rogers, magic left boot, wonderful cross kick. And the wing, Dean James, caught it in the atrocious rain like that, as if the ball was full of glue. It was unbelievable. He caught it in the air, arm up, and made the try. Wow. And there's the score, 16-15. And he converted it as well, just for sort of icing on the cake from the touchline. 18-15. Referee blows his whistle. That's it. End of match. It was the last play of the match.
Do you feel, I don't want to tempt fate, KT, but 15 straight wins for Narberth, and the way you tell the story of the finish there, is their name on the championship trophy?
They're 12 points ahead, Ben. Brecon are second place with a game in hand. So it's still fairly well balanced. They haven't played Brecon away yet. And unbelievably, they're playing Brecon away on the 30th of March. So we have to wait until then to see if they can clinch it. Wouldn't it be wonderful if they can clinch it before then? But there's a couple of games after that as well, by the way. But anyway, before the match, I went to the clubhouse, which is separate from the ground, as Fraser Watson knows, up in the town there. And it was full of Narberth supporters. It was great. It's like being at home. And I bumped into Ashley Sutton, who plays fullback for Narberth normally, who's out injured. And it was great to speak to one of the players about Liam Gadd and the way he coaches. Yeah. I mean, no disrespect at all to Sean Gale, the previous man, who have brought Narberth to where they are. But, he said that Liam Gadd brings an edge of professionalism, grit, mixed with camaraderie, and makes every player feel equal to everybody else. There's no elitism. There's no first and second choices when they're out there playing. That's it. It's a team effort throughout. And there's a steely determination, which means they win matches which they shouldn't perhaps have won, like the one on Saturday. It was get out of jail, really, if you want to call it that.
It's good, Fraser, isn't it, that KT pays tribute to Liam Gadd, because we've spoken about him on the show, and he's often on the first hour talking to KT after matches, and he's done a really good job, hasn't he? There's no getting away from that.
Yeah, excellent. Look, I think we joke about it. Sean Gale had been at Narberth a long time. It's always difficult in any role when someone has been at the helm for that long to come in. The players, the setup, the club become so familiar with Gale. And Liam, look, when that league, the Championship League split, it was regionalised into Championship East and Championship West. You looked at it on paper and you thought Narberth have got a real chance here. But there was hanging over that, obviously, this transition in coaching, which was a huge change for the club, given the power that Gale had exerted there for so long. And look, he's done brilliantly. I joke, to win 15 out of 15, I believe KT, correct me if I'm wrong, it's actually 17 out of 17 in terms of games played when you include League and Cup action as well.
Yeah.
He has actually brought through some local talent and some younger players from Narberth as well, which was always the aim against Narberth, if you like, the gripe against them, is they were bringing in boys from afar. That's not so much the case now. And I think even without KT's insight, it's confirmed what's suspected already, that they've won a couple of games which perhaps they shouldn't have, or they could have lost. Now, that's a sign of being champions. You have to do that. And to go up to Llangennech, I've been to Llangennech, I didn't fancy it in the sun, let alone those conditions. And to come from behind and win in weather like that, it almost is, as you said, it name on the trophy stuff. So I'd be amazed, personally, if Narberth did not win it from here. I think the main question now is whether they can do the League and Cup double, of course, with that Championship Cup competition, which they're in semi-finals of. So they're great teeth. Well done to them. And
the final, Ben, of course, is in the Principality Stadium. And they're one game away from that.
That could be an exciting next month or so, couldn't it? Let me
give you one more story, if I may. The announcer at Llangennech, really West Wales, he was fantastic. But because of the water gremlins getting in, it was like,
adds to it, doesn't it?
Half of it. But it came to the end of the match, and he was given the scores all the way through. And at the very end, he said, so the final score, Llangennech 15, Narberth 18. Jammy beggars.
And I'll take that. They'll take that if it takes them to the title, right? No game this weekend. There's a break, of course, for the Six Nations. Narberth home to Ammanford next on the 2nd of March, and that will be interesting. They can keep that fine run going. KT, thank you, and great stuff with Liam Gadd. We always like hearing from him in the first hour, and it's been brilliant that he's always happy to talk as well. Thank you for that. That was some game and some win for Narberth there. We're going to go to the break in just a second. Ben Llewellyn will be chatting to us. Just before we do, and sticking with the local rugby, Fraser, I know a weekend obviously with some great stuff happening, but also a really sad note as well. And I know you wanted to pay tribute to a Whitland legend who we sadly lost this weekend.
Yeah, that's right. We continue sadness, Ben, the death of Dai John. And again, Whitland game did go ahead, I noticed, and unfortunately, again, they ran very close and couldn't get the win, which would have been a perfect tribute. Look, I can't speak highly enough of Dai John. He was the bloke who, when I was in Division 5 in St David, who came and took me to Whitland, and he took that gamble on me. And it wasn't just me. He was one of those who recruited players, but he actually came to watch you. He'd watch you in games and he'd put time into it. And, look, Dai was a ruthless operator. He wasn't liked by everybody. He didn't want to be liked by everybody either. But he cared about Whitland RFC, and he elevated that club. And when you go back to the days, and it's funny when you hear KT speaking about Narberth now, and Narberth has long been the standalone Premier club in Pembroke, if you like. And back in Dai's days, it was Narberth and Whitland were neck and neck in that second tier of Welsh rugby for so long, and I saw the influence he had. Like I said, he was a shrewd operator, he was a ruthless operator, but he did it in the best interest of Whitland RFC. And, I always say, I think it was early in my second season, I remember the news coming through in training that he had a huge stroke. And I'll say it now, and some Whitland figures might not like it, but the day Dai John collapsed was the day the club started to go downhill. I'll say that was never the same again. You never replaced him in terms of someone who could manage a team and recruit players and oversee operations like that. And it was a great sadness to hear that news. He'd always have a fun place in my heart there.
Yeah, Fraser, thank you. And I think I think clubs across Pembrokeshire, there's so many legends, aren't there? And it's sad that the rugby community's lost a huge one there. So thank you for paying tribute. I know, very personal one to you as well. Remembering Dai John from Whitland, who passed away at the weekend. Thank you for that, Fraser. And KT, thank you very much for being with us as well. Pembrokeshiresport.co.uk has brilliant coverage of the weekend's rugby as ever. We will look ahead to the Six Nations in the final part of tonight's show, and we'll be talking to someone who's got aspirations of going to the Paris Olympics later on this year. We will do that next on Pure West Sport. It's Monday evening.
Eaton-Evans and Morris Solicitors have traditional